Siddharth Purohit is Senior Research Analyst at Angel Broking, and he's joining us right now to talk about a couple of specific stocks in that space. And I want to start with PNB Housing, which has had a good listing, good start on day one, Siddharth. What are your thoughts on prospects from here for PNB, given where it is trading and given its weaker profile in terms of return ratios? You look at return on assets, return on equity, it lags its peers by a margin.
In fact, we had a subscribe rating on the issue, and the listing has been fairly decent, I would say. If you compare last 4 years, there has been a phenomenal growth, 60% CAGR, of course on a lower base. But gradually we see that that the growth has to come down, of course, because of the higher base. But there is one part we need to understand, that now the company has raised huge amount of capital. Now the leverage remains pretty low after this capital raising. So there is enough scope for them scaling up to a larger scale. Now, other point is that as you talked, that return ratios are little lower than what other large players or mid-sized players are there. One point where they lag behind is the cost structure, basically. If you look at say SDFC or maybe LIC, their book has been quite seasoned, and they have gone through multiple phases. So they have been able to kind of reduce their cost of sourcing of business also, as well as for cost of credit also. So if you look at the cost structure in terms of cost to income ratio, PNB Housing has a much higher compared to others. So there is scope for that to implement. Okay. Now if you look at their
Siddharth, it's already trading at around 2.5 times FY18 price to book at the market price, at the current market price of close to 900. How much further do you think that it can go in terms of valuations on the upside, and your target price and timeline for it?
See, in fact, we don't have a target price, but what I can say is that they can maintain a 40% growth going ahead. But looking at the current valuation, as you said, possibly 10 to 15% upside at max is left for the timing. And beyond that, the management will have to really show that they can maintain ROE above 15% on a sustainable basis, and that is also possible. Here there are a couple of things what really needs to be watched over the next couple of quarters is that they have a higher LAP and a non-retail portfolio. If the management is really able to manage that portfolio without much slippages, then I think there is no reason that there will be any form of de-rating. Possibly similar kind of valuations could sustain, and I believe that 10-15% CAGR on the stock can be possible, but I can't give target price on this as of now.
Fair enough. The other one that is going to be very interesting and is probably going to be a big trigger for the markets tomorrow is ICICI Bank. It comes out post markets today. Your sense in terms of what they could deliver, because the stock is actually quite firm ahead of its numbers. Do you think asset quality would be better as opposed to last quarter? What are your estimates?
See, one of the key things that has changed for ICICI Bank is that post the SR deal, there were a couple of entities which were under the watch list for the bank, so they would possibly come down. So the amount of that risky portfolio will gradually come down. So the credit cost guidance, whatever we had been taking, possibly that will come down. But another point also that will play out is that possibly now that they have got a decent amount of funds they will receive from the listing of Prudential. Obviously that will that is one time, but that can be used for the year for creating extra buffer provision, and they can take extra NPA into account and try to clean up the balance sheet. So the balance sheet per se is getting stronger for ICICI Bank, and you may not see much of negative during this quarter. So I'm not expecting major negative for this development for this quarter for the result.
Siddharth, thank you very much, and we'd love to speak with you and get your thoughts once we have the ICICI Bank numbers. That is, of course, as Ekta said, later in the day. Thank you. Let's slip into a very quick break. Up next, we'll discuss space.